10th Defendants Timaru District Court, North Street, Timaru. Manager Alison Stewart, and the claim is for incompetence. Number 1. In 2005, the plaintiff, Mr. Bishop, had his motor vehicle impounded following a dispute over some traffic offences. He paid the money into the court trust account while the dispute was being dealt with, but it has never been resolved, and the money has since been taken from the court's trust account and used to pay the disputed fines without informing Mr. Bishop. Number 2. The plaintiffs have received the same incompetent treatment by the district court staff by accepting documents for charging orders over the home without checking that the forms were completed correctly. Number 3. The plaintiffs told the court staff about the lack of information on the court's charging order documents, but they failed to do anything about it. Number 4. The plaintiffs have had the expense of changing their wills to inform their trustees and their beneficiaries of what has happened and why it happened. Number 5. The plaintiffs claim the sum of $20,000 from the Register of the District Court for their incompetence. We continue now with Data Communications Counterclaim, 2010. 11th Defendant. New Zealand National Party Centre Incorporated, having a registered office at Willbank House, Wellington. President Peter Goodfellow, whose email address is as follows. Lack of compassion and ignorance. The plaintiffs claim the following members of the National Party failed to show any compassion or understanding as to the stress they were experiencing after losing their business and possibly their home from the Personal Grievance Clause in the Employment Relations Act 2000. Joe Goodhue, MP for Rangatato, Stafford Street, Timaru. Between the 14th of January 2010 and the 23rd of March 2010, Ms. Goodhue received 4 emails from plaintiff Mr. Bishop with the following headlines: Employment Relations Complaint, Employment Law Complaints, Timaru Super City, and Wake Up New Zealand. Number 2. In response to the Wake Up New Zealand email, the plaintiff received a reply from the member for Rangatato with the words, "Unsubscribe, please." Number 3. The plaintiffs received contact from Miss Goodhue's personal assistant, suggesting they contact Honourable Kate Wilkinson, Minister of Labour, with their problem. Number 4. The plaintiffs claim that the member of Rangatato failed in her duty as an MP to make personal contact with the plaintiffs in order to address the issue locally. Honourable Paula Bennett, Honourable Paula Bennett, MP for Waitakere, Minister of Social Development and Employment, Wellington. Number 1. On the 2nd of January 2010 and the 5th of January, plaintiffs Mr. Bishop sent 2 emails to the Minister of Employment with the headline Employment Relations Procedure Complaint and Employment Laws. Number 2. The Minister of Employment ignored the complaints made by the plaintiffs and therefore failed to do their job she is elected to do as Minister of Employment. Honourable Kate Wilkinson, MP for Waimakariri, Minister of Labour. On the 1st of January 2010 and 23rd of March, the plaintiffs, Mr. Bishop, sent 2 emails to the Minister of Labour with the headline Employment Relations Complaint and Employment Laws. The Minister of Labour personally ignored the complaints made by the plaintiffs, and therefore the plaintiffs claim she failed to do a job that she was elected to do. Right Honourable John Key, MP for Waitakere, National Party Leader and Prime Minister of New Zealand. Number 1. Between the 23rd of January 2010 and the 8th of 4th 2010, plaintiff Mr. Bishop sent 8 emails to the Prime Minister of New Zealand seeking mercy and compassion for his wife and for all those in the business in New Zealand who suffered and have suffered from the personal grievance clause in the Employment Relations Act 2000. Number 2, the plaintiffs claim that the Prime Minister has done nothing to assist them, nor has he done anything to bring about a change in the law. Number 3, the plaintiffs have offered their case to be debated in Parliament in an effort to bring about a change in the employment laws of New Zealand. Number 4, should they be successful in receiving compensation for the hardship they have endured, they will consider investing it into setting up a nationwide taxpayer union and a ratepayers union in an effort to stop politicians making rules to suit themselves with little regard for those whom they serve. Number 5, the plaintiffs claim the sum of $100,000 in compensation from the New Zealand National Party and the Prime Minister of New Zealand to cover some of the work Mr Bishop is doing on a daily basis for the benefit of all New Zealanders. Number 6, the plaintiffs claim a further $100,000 from the New Zealand National Party to be paid into a trust to help those in small businesses who find themselves in financial difficulty as a result of the personal grievance clause in the Employment Relations Act 2000. And finally, employment court regulations. This statement of defence of cross-challenge and counterclaim by the plaintiffs has been served on the defendants named at their email address and in accordance with the Employment Relations Act 28(2)(b)(v). Number 2, the documents have been presented in the order of events by which the defendants have played a part in determining the present position of the plaintiffs. Number 3, the documents have been drafted and presented to the Employment Court by a layman after the plaintiffs were unable to find a solicitor in Timaru who was willing to check them and provide legal advice. So the index for these documents are as follows. First defendant, Christine Bennett, relief sought $20,000. Second defendant, National Bank, relief sought $20,000. Third defendant, Fidelity Life Insurance Company Limited, relief sought $20,000. Fourth defendant, Timaru Police, relief sought $50,000. Fifth defendant, Helen Doyle, ERA member, relief sought $20,000. Sixth defendant, Jeff Goldstein, barrister, relief sought $20,000. Seventh defendant, Philip Butler and Associates, relief sought $20,000. Eighth defendants, RSM Law Limited, relief sought $40,000. Ninth defendants, Fairfax Media, Timaru Herald, $50,000. Tenth defendants, Timaru District Court, $20,000. 11th defendants, the New Zealand National Party, $200,000. Joe Goodhue, MP, Honourable Paul Bennett, MP, Honourable Kate Wilkinson, MP, and Honourable John Key, MP, signed Ronald Edward Bishop, representing the plaintiffs of Ronald and Edward and Margaret Ellen Bishop, trading as Data Communications, dated this day, Friday, 16th of April 2010. Well, what did you think of that? Wasn't bad for a former sheep shearer, was it, eh? No legal training at all. Mind you, I have been in the finance industry for about 40 years now. 20 years I was been involved in finance, and the last 20 was been involved with the debt collection industry. So I know about the law, and I've learned a lot of it by had to go by myself. You know, you go by the seat of your pants, don't you? Eh? And what happened is I sent all this stuff. You see, I sent it to the judge, and they filed it, and the judge threw it out. Didn't want to know about it. So I sent copies to all the people, and said, listen, this is what I was doing, but the judge wouldn't let me do it. So they all know about it. It's not that I'm doing that behind their backs. They all know. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Listen, I've got to close off now and put this all together. So I'll see you next time. I'll see you tomorrow morning, okay? See you later. Bye-bye.